Rajo, 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 Katipunan, Rajo, Katipunan, Rajo, Katipunan, Rajo, 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 Katipunan, Rajo, Katipunan. The voice of W Eagle kami, di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atin sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, 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 Katipunan. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan. Radyo, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugo. Todo sa kayod, punong at tulong. Lipad na Blue Eagle, galing hiding at tigil.
This is your stop for all things pop. Catch our all-around pop culture geek, Cholo as he throws in some dose of what's poppin' and what's hot in the pop culture scene here on Popcorn. Munchin' with us every Thursdays from 4 to 6, only here on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.
What's popping, and welcome to Popcorn with Cholo, your stop for all things pop, where we talk about all things pop culture here in the Philippines and the rest of the globe, and of course here at home because we are still on quarantine. And this is a part of our month-long Road to One anniversary special. And of course, we have a special guest here with us. I'm super excited because, kinakabahan din ako at the same time. But hey, we have Janina Vela here. Hello, Janina.
Hey, Janina here. So
Baka mali na sabi ko. Last time I said hello.
Oh, no. It's okay. I don't take offense. I respond to any of them. So, hoy. Uy, uy.
Para siyang birthday ng kids. Parang kids' birthday.
Yeah.
Parang when I say hi.
Oh nga, hi, hello, hi.
May ganun ka bang experience before na parang people change it up because it's like such an iconic thing for you?
My kuya, nung sinamulan niya yung YouTube channel niya a few years ago, that was his opening line, hello. Like, he made it to make fun of me, and then it ended up becoming a normal thing, so he had to, like, phase that out slowly. And then I've had other of my influencer or celebrity friends go hoy online. So it's fun, it's funny. I love it, actually.
And I mean, it's great that you're early on, or at this point, you've already made an iconic catchphrase for your videos.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, it was just that kind of business-minded, strategic Janina in me that was like, I need to do something that people will remember me by. And so that's where hey came from, because at that time that I was saying that to my friends, like whenever they message me, I'd be like, hey, and then now I never say it because I find it completely obnoxious if I use my own intro to my friends. So yeah, it was the vibe. But then May the Wings of Your Eyeliner also came about, which was weird also because I never wore winged eyeliner. Again, I just wanted to be remembered. So didn't really think that one through very much. But hey sticks still today.
Pero I mean, before we go on to this YouTube talk or career talk, I mean, how has everything been in the past month for you? I mean, I guess you've been asked this so many times in so many interviews. Nakasama din ako doon.
It's a good cathartic way to release the stress of what a pandemic brings.
Uh-huh.
It's it's interesting. There are times in my day when I have to sit down and I'm like, whoa, like this is actually quote unquote normal life now.
Mm-hmm.
Getting groceries from our neighbors and going on live instead of doing real, stage performances and staying at home. But funny enough, I feel like I've kind of adapted to it. Is that
Mm-hmm.
kind of weird? I feel like I miss the outside world, no doubt. It's just I kind of am not longing for it all the time. I think maybe I'm just like my adaptability as a person is just so strong. And I'm like, okay, this is what we have to go through because I feel like the faster we adapt to different things, the better it will be for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried to like adapt to this current situation as the best that I can. And so, I tried to put routines in my day. So like work out at 10 a.m. and then have lunch with my family, and then I go live every 3 p.m. and then do all of my work after that. So it's a good routine that kind of keeps me sane.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've adapted pretty well, but obviously the whole thing is still nerve-wracking and we can't discount that part of it. So I'm still doing as much as I can in terms of relief efforts and working with different foundations, but yeah, we do what we can to
Of
survive.
course, yeah. And parang it's really difficult not to think about this. I mean, even if if you've gotten used to it at this point, we still don't know what's in front of us or what's gonna happen in the next day, in the next week. But we really try to like cope up. And I mean, I
Mhm.
guess my question right now regarding that and leading into our next topic is like, would you say na nahirapan ka since most of your content has been online before,
Yeah.
even before everything else happened? Na parang, is it something that you're already used to in a sense, although it's been heightened at this point?
Yeah. Um, in terms of YouTube, I've actually, I've been in this weird place when it comes to my YouTube channel because I'm still navigating through my new purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because I started when I was 15 years old, and so the 15-year-old Janina and talking to the 21-year-old Janina is very different. So. I had to in the last year I've been kind of coursing through what I actually want to do with my YouTube channel, and that's why I haven't been posting that often. But funny enough, because of the quarantine, I'm kind of stuck at home. And it's funny because everybody's a vlogger now, and old vloggers are vloggers again. And so I'm one of those, the ones who had to regurgitate their YouTube channel. So it actually worked in a sense, of productivity. And there are a lot of things that I want to talk about in regards to the pandemic. And so that kind of nahanap ko ulit yung voice ko online. So it's fine. In terms of writing songs naman, it's been great also. Because they just keep coming out because I'm just at home with all of my
Mm-hmm.
instruments. And so I've been actually, in terms of my career, I'm lucky enough to have a career that allows me to work from home. So it's been pretty productive actually.
And you're really like well equipped now with everything already prepared in a sense, right? Because everyone's like, where will I get
Yes.
this? Where will I get this?
Yeah.
But in a
Um,
sense,
in terms of YouTube, yeah, for sure. Except my laptop broke the first week of
oh my god.
quarantine. So my screen is not working. And so I have to use a TV. That's why actually your face is there. And I have
Wow.
to look at the black screen here. So which sucks for editing because
Uh-huh.
I'm like looking at this big screen. But other than that, for editing for YouTube, like I already have this stuff. The ring light is here and stuff. But yeah, we actually had to learn how to live stream properly.
Mm-hmm.
Because like for all of those live concerts, there's so many different apps that you use on different gadgets. I don't even know. Like, whoa, it's kind of wild because like your GarageBand is open on your laptop so you can mix, and then you have the live streaming thing on your iPad, and then you film with your phone, and they're all like connected in this weird techie way that I was in no way prepared for. So that's something that I had to adjust to. It was really the whole live stream, live concert, live things.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, because it's a new muscle for everybody. Um, and and for some reason I get so tired on like video chats. It's so interesting how I can be outside and be normal with people, but then for some reason video chats are just different, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I exert more effort because there's no energy being passed as
Yeah,
much
yeah.
as you are
It's
in
like we're in different
physical.
countries, but we're actually just
Yeah,
like
right.
the
So it
same.
feels so distant and far, and so it's something that I had to adjust to. So my endurance is slowly building up for all of these video stuff.
And it's something naman na I guess everyone's adapting to also na,
Oh
we're
yeah,
getting to like find ways on how to connect in different platforms, may it be like
yeah,
Netflix watch party or mga house party games, and like
yeah.
finding a way to like be with friends even if it's just on a screen. And it's been
Oh yeah.
it's been fun. But going back to like you talking about the difference between you at age 15 and now that you're 21, I mean, how did you even what pushed you to start the YouTube thing in the first place? I mean,
Oh
times were
yeah.
really different back then, and 15-year-olds weren't really doing anything at this level as compared to they are now.
Yeah. So when I was 15, there were probably about 8 YouTubers. So it was like Mikey Bustos, Satioco, Michelle D. Will Dasovich wasn't even making YouTube videos when I started yet. He started, I think, 6 months after me. So it was a really bare kind of, I wouldn't say wasteland. It was actually a green land. It was a
Mm-hmm.
valley that was ready to be sowed into and harvested. And so I did not talk like that when I was 15. I had no purpose or goal whatsoever. I just wanted somebody that I could relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that was all I wanted. Um I would watch Bethany Mota and
Mm-hmm.
just all of these OG beauty YouTubers from the States and London, like Zoella. And I would say like, oh, I wish there was somebody here in the Philippines who would do those videos, like DIYs and like school outfits and stuff. And so I waited for about, a year and a half. But nobody really started it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had this crazy idea of doing it myself. And my goal ultimately was just 5,000 subscribers. So she wasn't very goal oriented then.
Yeah.
But yeah, my parents were like, well, what's the worst that can happen? Like, you'll be more responsible and you'll learn how to edit, and that's good enough for us. So they were very supportive from the start. But yeah, I started doing makeup videos, DIYs. Yeah, a lot of fashion, a lot of girly things, and then I
Mm-hmm.
kind of grew out of it after a while.
And like, syempre, yun nga, at that time, you were really young. Like, how did you handle all that? I mean, of course, with the guidance of your parents, but how did you handle all that fanfare na, given that you were one of the OG talaga in the Philippines na YouTubers?
Oh yeah, it was weird because um I started in January of 2015, and then it took me about 6 months to reach 500 subscribers, another 6 months to reach 5,000 subscribers, and then after that I reached 10,000 really quick, and then I just boomed to 200. So it was a weird, like the first year I felt like nothing was really happening because, I mean, 5,000 subscribers is a lot, but you never run into, when you have 5,000 subscribers, you never really run into them in public.
Uh-huh.
But my first fan fest experience, May 2016, that was weird. Because, I was a 16-year-old girl walking into the World Trade Center, and then there were people shouting and running after me, and I was like, what? I was so confused as to what on earth was happening, because I felt like a normal girl, and honestly, until now, I still feel like a normal girl, and so it's kind of weird. Realizing sometimes, like my friends can attest to this. I'm like sitting, and I'm like, whoa, I'm like kind of famous, no? And then they're like, yes, and I'm like, parang it doesn't, parang gumagano'n yung utak ko. It doesn't ever sink in that I'm an OG YouTuber or anything like that. I just feel really normal, but honestly, I'm happy feeling normal about it. But yeah, my parents were very supportive the whole time. Luckily though, my dad's sister was an actress, and so she was like a big contrabida before, and then
She
my
like
lola had like,
making buses explode, right?
yeah, exactly, and then I still see memes of her, of Tita Cesar's eyes, like reflecting the fires. Like, people still send me those. They're like, "Oh my gosh, we loved your Tita." And then people would remember my Lola with my last name, with my second name, Janina Vela, and Helen Vela, who was like the original MMK,
Mm-hmm.
show. And so it wasn't so foreign to my dad, having a known relative, but it was still an adjustment because I was a kid. So
Mhm.
and the I think the bashing is what we had to adjust the most to, because I was, my body was changing. I was 15 to 21 is like a big change in who
For
you
sure.
are. Like the baby fat gets lost, and but then you also gain, and then it's a weird, the adolescence. But yeah, so people would comment all these things. They're like, oh, ang laki ng ilong, pango, or whatever. Or parang, oh, ang laki ng arms mo, taba, parang ganun. And I'm like, what? Like, why do these people care about what I look like?
Uh-huh.
So that was the biggest adjustment for me, kind of learning how to drown that out, or eventually be 100%, not 100, let's say 98% secure with how I looked and my body and my face and everything. So that's a huge part of my adolescence and puberty. But other than that, it's been okay.
Yeah, I mean, pretty sure it's overwhelming talaga. I mean, as a 15-year-old, you'd be
Yeah.
idolizing One Direction from your room, and then the next thing you know, ikaw na rin yung, in a sense, may pagkaganong level,
Yeah.
right? So parang, I mean, I guess, how did you end up coping with the bashing or mga ganyang
Yeah.
bagay at a young age?
I came across, this could have been a totally flack quote because I don't even know. I don't watch the Kardashians. But then I read on a Twitter post that one time Kim Kardashian said some very, very rephrased. But she said, like, why would I give somebody 24 hours of my day thinking about their comment when it only took them 10 seconds to write it? And so that kind of changed my life. I was like, wow, these people, like right after they give me this comment, they're not even thinking of me anymore. Like it makes no sense for me to be so affected by somebody who's barely even affected by me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so kind of reminding myself, like I was bashed the other week for some political reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally just, right there on the spot, I deleted Twitter and I turned them off. And
Uh-huh.
it's a funny reminder to think, and I'm like, wow, I can turn these people off if I wanted. It's really that quick. Um, I when you let them get into your head and get into your heart, that's when they start to control you and they start to control who you are. And then you remind yourself, why am I letting these strangers control me? So then I realized the app doesn't control me, but I control the app, and so just delete it real quick, and then life is back to normal.
And I
So
mean, sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
Um, yeah, so basically it's still a work in progress for me because I still get affected. Like I actually cried on one of my lives by accident. And it still affects me because I'm still human, but
Okay.
I feel like I've just toughened up after a while. It kind of hearing the same things over and over again, it uh it's not, you get numb to it in a good way, I would say. It's like, okay, well, you don't know me, but my friends do, and my friends actually love me for who I am, so I don't think that you deserve the right to make me insecure.
And parang, I guess at the end of the day naman, people, we keep on hearing this a lot, but we have to keep on pushing ourselves to like understand na it's at the end of the day, it's not about you that they're bashing na, but it's like a reflection of the people and what their values and what they have to work on upon themselves. Cause like, why do you keep on bashing someone else na parang it's just a reflection of how you act as a person.
Exactly. When I was canceled last year, I wrote this song, and then it's the pre-chorus went, throw your words my way, I know what you say is more about you than me anyway. So it's really, it's I yeah, that's a really good point. It's really, I don't know, it's really never about that. It's really never about me, because
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing that also brings out my compassion for people.
Yeah.
Thinking like, wow, how horrible their circumstances must be, that they find power and satisfaction and even relief in hating on another girl on the Twitter sphere that they've never met. Um, and so then I think, oh shucks, like they're a bully because probably that's what they've been experiencing in some way, shape, or form. So it kind of humanizes them to me, even if
Mhm.
they feel like I'm not human and I have feelings. It just reminds me that, you know, they probably have a lot more going on than I could ever imagine. And so kind of helps me forgive them a little bit easier. Because it helps me forgive a little easier, and also it reminds me to forgive, because I always go by the saying that forgiveness doesn't mean that they're right. Forgiveness just sets you free.
Mhm.
And so it was for me choosing to have that compassion and release the burden of letting them have a hold and say on my life, and just saying, you know what, I forgive you, it's fine, I probably will never understand anything about you, and so I won't even try.
And I mean, I guess it's a good starting point as well to, be the light that you want others to be. I mean, if you
Yeah.
show that, you're an inspiration and that you practice these values and show it to other people, then parang in a sense, you're also influencing the way they think and how things should be, right?
Yeah, diba, we shouldn't fight fire with fire, so
Yes. And I mean, yun nga, coming from that YouTube experience, like what's the most standout like lesson you've learned in that aspect?
um I think it's after all is said and done, blood is really thicker than water.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I've seen my family just stand strong through everything, and I've gotten derailed, and not even just my immediate family, but the people that I found family in even before the YouTube thing. These are the people that I'm still, that I'm still very connected to until today, because they've seen Janina Punzalan, which is my real last name, and they've seen my screen name, Janina Vela, and they've loved me throughout all of it. And so that's my biggest lesson. I think it's never to overlook the people who've been with you from the start, because to be honest, a lot of the people that people have seen me online with growing up on YouTube, not in my life anymore for
Mm-hmm.
different circumstances. To each their own circumstances, but um a lot of the people who I'm still with today were with me even before YouTube, like when I was 12 to 14, and my parents and my brother. So that's the biggest lesson to me. It's to appreciate what you have, and appreciate the people who have stood by you no matter what form of yourself you take.
Mm-hmm. And parang coming off of that, I mean, it's really great to have someone to ground you and to have someone to
Yeah.
support you and help you be a better version regardless of,
And straight up
your
called me
misgivings.
obnoxious if I am. Like my best friends are like, Janina, you're such an influencer. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean to. So they'll really straight up call me out for it. And my mom's gonna be like, oh, Janina, like, I think, you said some great points, but then when you said this, it was a little bit too negative. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm sorry. And so, I love my supporters, but my supporters will never really tell me those things.
Yeah.
Or if they will, it wouldn't be in love because they'd be haters. So I really appreciate my close friends and family who are really honest with me out of love, not because they want to bring me down.
But in terms of like collaboration and finding friends within professional work, like how do you manage that? Syempre, a lot of people will be just like, hey, I want to collaborate, this,
Yeah.
this. But, it's really hard to tell which people are being genuine and which people are just using
For
your clout.
sure.
Parang ganon. How do you manage that, especially coming from your experience as a young girl?
I made a lot of wrong decisions and connections. So I kind of learned the hard way, honestly, on connecting to the wrong people. Um, yeah, like being, one day bringing somebody to an event with me, and then the other day her calling me out on a YouTube video is like, whoa, what happened there? So honestly, you'll never really know. But for me, a straight up hint would be if they ask me for a collab straight up without hanging out with me first. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's kind of rude. When they're like, hey, we should collab, and I'm like, I don't know you. So it's it's funny because when you're up and coming, you're like business first. Like I want to get subscribers, I want to get followers. But as the when the confetti kind of gets swept away, you realize, oh wait, no, we're human also, and so the friendship is kind of more important than the collabs and all of those things. And so yeah, I the YouTube friends that stuck with me are the ones who I hang out with without vlogging.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when you kind of know that it's real. People like Hannah and that group Kali and Maki and LA. And so these people, nobody ever sees us online together, because when we're together we really don't post it. And so that's how you know that it's real. It's like without the cameras we still have a great time, and with the cameras we still have a great time. So there's no turning on and off of personas that goes on. And so that's what tells me, okay, these are real friends, these guys are true.
And you have a really good point, I think. I mean, especially for people listening who parang who really want to get into this business. Parang
Mhm.
from experiences and in watching you guys, artists and mga vloggers, and experiencing the behind the scenes, the relationships are really important, like to establish friendship or at least some sort of civil like connection, professional connection before the business part, because people just like sometimes go in and say, "Hey, can you do this for me?" And then parang at parang pagkatapos mo gawin 'yun, wala na, 'di ba? So parang it's always really important to like find a connection or something that like makes you connect with that person in any
Yeah,
form. So
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
I think it's just really, yeah, finding what's real and trying to discern what is not. Because it's so, it's kind of a scary thing with vloggers that, not that we're not that we're fake online, it's just we are ourselves but 10 times that. And so people have to understand that we're not always like that the whole time. And so I've seen how easy it is for somebody to turn themselves on and then turn themselves off. Like I do that sometimes when I have to work and I'm tired. And so it's you kind of get used to like pointing out, okay, she's turned on right now, or like, okay, she's turned off. Okay, that sounds wrong, but in our context, you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
definitely.
you get used to pointing it out after a while.
And it's
Yeah.
I guess it's not really a matter of turning on and off in such a robotic sense, but it's
Yeah,
really also about reading the mood of a person. Kasi even normal
that's true.
people experience this na sometimes you're really
Yeah,
out of your zone. You don't really feel like interacting, even if you're like
yeah.
the most energetic person out there. And then, people don't, especially parang with the pedestal given to influencers or to vloggers and celebrities, people tend to forget that
Oh
aspect of their
yeah,
humanity
for
talaga.
sure. People forget that you literally only see 7 minutes of my 24 hours.
Mhm.
So it's not even a full hour. It's not even, I don't want to do the math, but it's a very small, very small fraction of who I am as a person. And so, yeah, honestly, in my Lumos, I'm like, you have no right to judge me if you've never been with me for a day. It's like, you really can't just choose. It's like you literally choosing this part of me, like a percentage of who I am, and saying that that's the whole me, because it's not. You don't see me when I'm normal and hanging out with my family or just laughing with my friends. You see me when I'm fully made up and talking with a ring light. And so it's really, you're right, it's not really turning on. It's just you have to remember that these are just pieces of these
Mhm.
people. It's like how it takes so long for you to get to know a friend. It's the same thing for YouTube. It kind of takes time. It kind of it's really more than just the first meeting or the best foot forward.
But coming from the YouTube, I mean, of course, you've gone way beyond that and you've branched out and you started hosting events and, of course, music also. I mean, it's another aspect of your career that you've really been putting yourself into. I mean, how did this relationship with music start, or how did you know that you wanted to pursue this aspect of your career?
Um, I actually wanted to be a singer before I wanted to be a YouTuber. Funny enough, I wanted to be an artista, which ended up me kind of not liking that side of the business. But yeah, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to share my music. I I wanted to be famous. Funny enough, like I hate saying that, but when you're 13, 14, it's attractive to you. You want to be famous. You want to have people scream your name and all of these things. And then when I was 15, that's when I realized, no, I don't want this. I have so many friends in the industry, and just hearing their stories, I'm like, yo, this ain't for me. And so the songs that I wrote when I was 13, when I was heartbroken, they kind of stayed with me for all of those years. And then another horrendous thing happened, and so I ended up writing more songs. And I was like, yo, like this is a special part of me that my supporters have never met before, because at that point in my life I was always just bubbly Janina Vela.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, but Janina Vela gets heartbroken, or Janina Vela cries. And so I kind of wanted to showcase that part of myself, the part that I felt like they could relate to a lot more. And so that's kind of where my love for the music industry and love for singing came out. No, I loved singing since I was a kid. My mom loved theater, so she passed that on to me, and so we've been singing theater for as long as I can remember. But the idea of putting out an album and single and working on music, it was kind of out of just love for people. In a sense, I just loved sharing stories. I think my dad is a pastor, and I feel like I'm a storyteller by heart. I think it runs in my blood, basically. So I love being able to tell stories through video, and I wanted to be able to branch out and experience telling stories through music. So yeah, that's kind of where it came from. But I have yet to write a happy song, because I only write songs when I'm sad. So that's something that I'm trying to work on.
But you know what's funny? I think I actually saw you perform in The Sound of Music in Resorts World.
Oh
Way
my
back.
god, really?
Yeah,
How?
kasi I'm friends with Paolo Ocampo. I'm not sure if he was your castmate in the same
Yes,
cast. Yeah, so
yes.
I watched him there, and I guess you were there.
Though. Yeah, it was probably. Sometimes we switched around, but yes, you probably watched me. That was really weird. It's kind of weird when people realize that was me. Like I've had Vela Fam, bring up pictures on Twitter like, Janina, I met you when you were still a theater actress, and I'm like, what? Like, please take this down. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it was a weird time in my life. Kind of discovering myself in that way of me actually loving the stage and loving to perform. But yeah, theater, that's weird.
But I mean, when you're talking about showing a different aspect of Janina in the music, it's really something that's evident. Kasi hearing your songs for the first time, that first album EP, I mean, I was like, who is this girl? Because I'm really so used to my sisters watching you and
Oh yeah.
seeing you so bubbly nga. And then this song I hear called, I think, anong song ba yung una ko narinig? It wasn't Hesitate eh. I think the first
Was it
one was,
or Safe at Last?
uh, ano ba yun?
Sorry, left.
It's not Sorry I Left eh. The
What?
first one talaga that I worked on with you, I think was, it is, ang dami ng songs, I can't remember. It's Curtain Call. And I was like,
Okay.
wow, this is
That was sad. That was a
super
sad
sad. And I mean, parang it's really something so, I mean, kung sanay ka talaga na you're not someone familiar with Janina as a singer or as a writer, and you just know her as someone who's like super
was very
energetic.
light, you
Parang
know,
hearing this like,
blanket.
is this the same girl? Did you have a
Yeah.
problem parang trying to merge the worlds together in a sense na this is still me, but this is a sad part of me?
I don't think I would call it a problem. It was just something that I had to intentionally do, mix the YouTube thing and the music thing. Because at first I kept them separate, which was kind of weird, I realized, because, if you met me on Spotify and then you met me on YouTube and then you switch platforms and you're like, what? So it was kind of weird. But then I kind of started telling that the story of each song on my channel slowly, and people started to listen more, and it was cool because it was a new relationship with my followers that I never really had. Yeah, and so I kind of wanted to show that side, like the super sad, kind of the dark vibes of my music and the lyrics, and then bring that on my YouTube, and people were kind of surprised at first, but then I didn't really. There was no pushback actually. Everybody was really supportive about it from the start. But yeah, with Hello Stranger, the song that just came out, I kind of wanted to merge YouTube Janina and music Janina in one song. And
Mhm.
so the music, I don't know, I feel like it's bubbly and it's happy and it's makulit, and I feel like that's kind of who I am on YouTube and even as a person, period. But the lyrics are still sad, so it still stays true to Janina in the
I mean,
music
I
industry.
guess maganda yung mga ganung songs kasi na there are some songs like, for example, the Paramore After Laughter album na it's so
Mm,
happy, but like when you
yeah,
read
but
through
when
the
you
lyrics,
listen,
right,
yeah,
really
exactly.
there's that certain depth pa rin na, this is what they're going through. And that, I guess, is what makes Hello Stranger a good song for me. And honestly, even if I didn't like work with you guys, I'm LSS talaga with the song. na,
Thank you. Oh,
I
that
mean,
means a lot.
I guess you've been telling this to many people, but to those who aren't familiar, like, what is this Hello Stranger about?
Hello Stranger. Okay, so Hello Stranger I wrote because I was in the point of post breakup. Well, I'm MBSB, but let's just call it post breakup for just non-complicated explanations of we were a thing but not really, but then we kind of broke up but it wasn't really a breakup, but let's just call it a breakup just to long story short. We split up. But there's so many songs about falling in love. There's so many songs about meeting a person, about whatever, getting married or leads like choosing never to give up, leading up to a breakup. But there are not that many songs about like post breakup,
Mhm.
of what actually happens, like the realistic, what happens after all of the tears have been wiped away. It's kind of just really awkward, and so I experienced that firsthand. I had to work with the guy a couple of months after we had split, and so it was really weird because he couldn't do para he had to direct me for something, and then he was telling my friend to tell me what to do, but I could audibly hear that he was giving me directions, but he couldn't say it to my face, and it was just really really awkward. And so it's weird how you could meet a stranger and then become friends, become more than friends, and then go back to being strangers that quick. So I kind of wanted to write that in a song in very simple terms of um um I'm like, can someone tell me please, does it get easier to see someone you used to know? I'm asking myself, would it be better to fake that I can't hear when you say hello? Because it was just dreadful. I mean, that doing the formalities and just like hi and then beso, and it's just like, can we just not do this? This is just, I just rather have this memory not in my head, because it's so weird. You're like sweaty and you're like a little bit red because it's just such an awkward situation. So yeah, that's kind of what Stranger was about. But it's funny because I had a really a fun, I guess, funny reaction to it because I would just laugh at the awkwardness. And so that's kind of where the vibes of Hello Stranger came out, because it was just so funny to me. Like it came to a point where I wasn't even sad or mourning or grieving. It was just like, what the heck? Like, I think we can be a little bit more mature than this, but obviously we couldn't. So that's where Hello Stranger came out.
So in short, it's kind of like a rom-com situation na parang,
It
'di ba?
is.
Parang
Oh
movie din siya na you after it's the story is like it's you after the breakup, and then all these
yeah.
things happen in between and you keep on bumping into each other.
Yeah, for sure. It's like sometimes when I imagine it in like a movie, it's when the exes come and then they have already new significant others and they have to like introduce themselves to each other, and it's like, oh, this is my and then she's like, I'm his ex-girlfriend. Like that's what I feel like it would be in a movie where when he's like super awkward and I'm like, just please get over yourself. Like let's just whatever.
And I
Yeah.
think parang it really got received well by fans, not even just the Vela fam, but people who could really relate to this. Kasi the song
Yeah.
isn't just something that you can apply to an ex, because a lot of people have ex-friends, for example, na
Yeah,
you've never
exactly.
talked
Falling
to
in
in so
love.
long. Yeah, and you see these
Oh,
people and like so awkward. What are you gonna talk about, or how are you gonna approach this?
yeah, exactly. I feel like everybody has talked about every emotion too much, except awkwardness. So, yeah, I was excited to release the song.
It's a great yun nga, as you said, it's a really great way that you merged both personas that you're known for, and I'm excited to hear. I mean, I've heard what's coming next, but I'm excited for people to hear those things, and especially what
Yeah.
you come up with in this quarantine. I'm sure you've also been writing other things, right?
Yeah, it is gonna be fun. Ryan, my younger brother turned his room into a studio, and so now like we're trying to make demos. So it's really fun because he torrented Logic Pro, and so we're like, oh, this is so cool. So we brought up my keyboard and we're like making a fake drum pad and stuff. So it's fun. Yeah.
Is there any para any idea of you wanting to produce in the future, or like actually help others create their own music aside from your
Oh my, that would be fun. Well, I actually, yeah, I've been thinking about it because there's songs that I write that I feel like are not my vibe, and so it would be better in somebody else's album. But it's like a forward thinking dream. I'm not sure. We'll see. Never know. I don't think producing though. I can be bossy and tell you what to do. Think I want a crush there, and I think I want like a pad there. But I'm not talented in that whole aspect.
I mean, we'll have to see, right? I mean, the future
Yeah,
is
you never
blank
know.
for
That's
now. We never know what's gonna happen. But I mean, aside from music, then I wanted to ask. Syempre, you're now being more vocal about your advocacies, and being more political than you were earlier in the
mm-hmm.
YouTuber career. Parang how did you end up deciding na, okay, this is the moment that I'm gonna start speaking up about what I believe in, because
Yeah.
it's really tough times that we're facing right now.
Oh yeah. What was it? So there's a time because I wasn't in school. I took a gap sem. I took a gap sem, and I suddenly missed learning, and so I started doing math problems and reading scientific books, and I was like, why am I doing this? This doesn't really help me very much. And so I started reading history books, and so I started reading on our Philippine history, and then after that I started reading about other countries' histories, and then other political and social economical books, and it kind of just I realized I'm a nerd. Like straight up I was like, yo, why am I reading these books? It's kind of weird. But then it kind of grew, slowly, that love for the nation that I already had previously, because I when I was a kid, people would always ask me if I wanted to study abroad, and I blatantly say no. I don't want to study abroad because I feel like change is coming in the Philippines and I don't want to miss it. And so I've been saying that since I was like 12 years old, apparently. um and so I kind of realized, whoa, like this love for the nation has been there for so long. And I want to do something. But what can I do? I'm not a I'm not a government official. I'm not working with an NGO, but what's in my hand now? And so that was my YouTube channel. And so a big issue that I've come across is that is with education. Children are there's this quote. It says, the point of education is not to fill an empty mind, to make an empty mind a filled one, but to make an empty mind an open one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of me wanting to open people's minds and eyes to be able to think for themselves, to be able to question, certain things, and not in a violent or attacking way. It's just, yeah, you have to be able to discern what is best for not just you but everybody in this nation, in a morally right way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think, in education, character formation is so important. But I also, there was this book that I read. It was called The Dictator's Handbook, and it's kind of it's not really cynical. It's like a satire type, um, informative book on different dictators, and basically teaching you, okay, this is what they did. So if you want to be a dictator, this is exactly what you have to do. But then in the introduction, the author wrote, if politics is a game leaders play, maybe the people can learn the game and we can win. And so from that point on, I realized that I wanted to learn the game, because I still believe that public servants are supposed to serve the public. Um, and so I'm still, fighting for that kind of justice in my own small part of the world. I'm not trying to change the whole world. I'm just trying to change my own part of the world, through my YouTube channel. So the first political video that I posted on that was the water shortage. I feel like I wanted to post about, the our indigenous people, or the farmers, or even the EJKs, but I was too afraid because I felt like they were too far from me, and it was too far-fetched for a 19-year-old girl. um but but the water shortage happened, and that was obviously literally close to home, because it was happening in my own home for many months, or for many weeks. And so I posted my first video on that, and it got really good feedback. It was different for sure, but I've never felt more, I wouldn't say validated, but more proud of any of my works in my
Mhm.
entire life than the ones that make people think, and the ones that make people hope for the better for our country. And so it kind of solidified that that's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So yeah, that's why, now I kind of introduce myself as a YouTuber who posts political and social issues on her channel. It's kind of weird, coming from being a beauty and lifestyle YouTuber.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's that story.
I mean, it's really good work. I mean, I really applaud you for that. Na, we don't really see people as young as you or as young as us who really speak up. So, parang not really blatantly, but like they're really vocal about this. Especially, we're experiencing all these things politically in the country, but you're really brave for doing that. And to have an audience nga na, you can influence for the better. It's not just saying that you're an influencer for makeup.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not
yeah,
not there's nothing wrong with that, but to have good influence to like create other people like you to spread the good word. I mean, it's really great.
yeah.
It's really great to have that advocacy. And have you gotten like any feedback from other young watchers or viewers na, oh, thank you so much for like informing me about this. Like without watching, I wouldn't really
Yeah.
have like gotten this information.
Yeah, for sure. In my other, what was that video? Like, even just the Amazon rainforest video that I posted a few months ago. It was, originally people thought that it was an overreaction, but then when I showed them all of the facts and I kind of laid it out straight for them, they were like, "Oh, shucks, we really have to do something about our country, or even about our own waste, and about recycling, and about single-use plastic." And so it just, honestly, the views have gone down because I don't think anybody really wants to be quote unquote rebuked in their own home for being ignorant and apathetic.
Yeah.
But for the few people who do watch, I feel like it's been, instead of just quantity, it's been more quality connection with my supporters. And I would take that any day, because it's not just, skin based or skin level change that's happening. It's not just about your foundation, but it's really change that happens in the heart. And that's really, the I read a book. It's called, I forgot the name of the book, but it basically talked about the different institutions of a country, of how, it's, yeah, there's the government institution, but there's the church, there's the school, there's the family, and in the family there are people. And actually the main institution that we should be, targeting is is their heart, because if you change a person's heart, you can change your nation. And so for me, that's, even if it's just a few thousands of people who watch, but I know that slowly I'm able to change their hearts, then I'm never going to complain about that.
And I hope that as we move forward as a nation after this, more and more people are really encouraged to do this, because we're facing a really tough election for sure. And
Oh yeah.
it's something we need to start working on as early as now, and I hope that we get to encourage more people to speak up. I mean, even here on this show, although we talk about pop culture, we still find ways to throw
Yeah.
our dissent na, okay, this movie shows this, and we want to say na this is not right, and that's exactly
Yeah.
what's happening here, parang ganun.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, even like with social and political issues, I feel like it shouldn't be as taboo as we've treated it for decades upon or centuries even. I feel like, I've had a lot of adults tell me to stay in my lane, or to say that I'm just a young girl, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I should leave that to the adults. But to me, it's like, no, I live in this country, and so whatever they do affects me as much as it affects you. And so I think that we should, break that stigma that you have to be a special kind of person to talk about it, or you have to be a special kind of person to even just have a conversation about it. I feel like incorporating it in our normal lives, just we're talking about pop culture, and suddenly we're talking about politics, and I think that should be normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I it The human in me feels flattered that you think that I'm so smart, and that, wow, she's like so political. But my hope and my prayer is that I won't be special years from now, is that
Yes.
I'm gonna be the normal. Everybody is gonna talk pop culture, and then politics, and everybody's gonna talk, about the singers and social issues. It's not a You don't have to choose to be serious and choose to have fun. I feel like you can have both. And I think that's also what I'm trying to show. It's like, I'm not always gonna be wearing a tuxedo and like with my hair in a low bun, and I'm like, yes, so this is the news for today. It's no, I'm in a sweater, I'm at home, I have my fairy lights, because I'm a normal person who should be talking about what should be normal, which is politics.
Mm-hmm. And in the words of the great Hannah Montana, we live the best of both worlds.
And we live the best of both worlds, so you have to enjoy both and then explore both.
I mean, yun nga, I really hope that more and more people are encouraged to do that, especially, especially with whatever we have realized in this quarantine period. Now, a lot of people, a lot of politicians are showing their true colors that people haven't really shown with their people haven't really seen that with their busy lives ongoing. But now eyes are on them, and we know that
Yeah.
people, they're listening to our dissent, to our discourse online. And it's really showing that the power is still really with the people, and we really
Oh
need more
yeah.
voices out there to talk about that. But I
Mm.
mean, I guess going out of that topic in politics, siguro one last aspect of you that I'd like to ask about, even just
Mm.
briefly, is like your worship life, because you're really also vocal about your relationship with God,
Yeah.
and
Oh, I just realized how vocal I am about everything. I really shut my mouth sometimes.
it's great. We need that. But I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, with your everyday streams right now that are that's encouraging people to, you know, find their relationship again with God. I mean, how are you also integrating that? I mean, it's also part of your personal life, and some people might not be aware of that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have, I do lives every day at 3 p.m. And actually, I got the reason why I started those lives is because I got too sucked into the life of an activist, of a revolutionist. I was like, yeah, let's go, sugod na mga kababayan. And then Lord, Lord, I want a revolution. I want all of these things. And then it kind of dawned on me that we've had revolutions before. We've had our people revolt and fight for something better, and justice, and fight against oppression before. But we've always kind of ended up in the same place. And so I'm like, what comes after revolution? That's something that we have to kind of not worry about but think about. And so, what what brought me to doing those lives is realizing that yes, it's education, yes, it's character formation, but it's also, but character formation for me really comes from your relationship with God, and
Mm-hmm.
how God has molded you to be, um to to be, basically said, a good human. And so, if we don't take care of the evil in our hearts, ew, that sounds so straight up, you're evil, man. No, but if okay, we want to take out the corruption in the government. Whoa, that was so blatant. I'm so sorry. If you don't want me to say
It's
those things
fine.
on the
We need
show,
that.
no,
We need to take them
no,
out.
it's not a secret, right? But
Uh-huh.
if we want to take out the corruption from the government, why don't we start taking out the corruption from our hearts? And so, how do we do that? It's not just, that's why I have a problem with stuff like self-love, because it's like you take out love from yourself to love yourself, but where does your cup overflow from? It's hard for me to kind of, if it were up to me, I would be the most insecure person in my entire life, but because of my relationship with God, and because of how God has changed my life completely, I'm slowly, my heart is slowly becoming a little bit more pure than it was yesterday. We're slowly becoming better people than we were. And so I feel like that is also an aspect that we should think about, that yes, there will be, one day, yes, there will be a change in the government, but I also want, like what I talked about a while ago, change in people's hearts. And for me, it was that hope of one day I'm gonna wake up with a clean government and the people that fear God, and that's like the hope. It's not just, oh, we're gonna be politically righteous, but I feel like we have to fight for being spiritually righteous as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that I had to kind of work through, because I was too angry at everything. And then I realized, you know what? Okay, God is in control, and so I should honor that. Yeah. So my worship life is very, very, evident through everything, and as the years have gone by, become more and more evident, because, well, I'm a pastor's kid, so I've been a pastor's kid for a long time, and I've been Christian since, you know I was a little kid. And so yeah, it's really a huge part of me, just as much as YouTube is, or politics is. But take all of that away, take all of the YouTube, the singer, the everything that we talked about tonight. One thing will remain is that I love God. And so that's what I've been so secure in all of my life. And that's why I don't think that any part of my career should overpower that. If not, that should overpower everything else in my career, because that's who I am. As much as people identify me as a YouTuber, singer, host, an activist, or whatever, it's all of those things could wash away in 5 seconds. I could get canceled tomorrow, and my career would be over. Spotify could just die, and I wouldn't be a singer anymore. But you take all of those away, I'm still the person I am when I spend time with God. I'm still that girl who keeps her integrity and tries to live a life that honors him. And so that's at my very core, that's who I am. That's who Janina Vela Punzalan is. And so I felt like that part of my life should be very, very, very evident online, because there's no reason for me to hide it, really. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, of course, people have negative feelings towards it, but this is who I am. So I've learned to be unapologetic about it, about every aspect of my life, including that.
And that's great. I mean, not everyone is. I mean, they everyone shows their religious beliefs in different ways. You might be
Yeah.
doing that. I'm showing it in another way. I might not be
Yeah.
vocal about it online, but I think one thing that I hope people really understand also is how we should integrate it into our lives more, in the
Yes.
sense that some people tend to, you know, how do you say this, compartmentalize. Okay, this is my headspace for politics, this is my
Yeah.
headspace for work, this is my headspace for religion. But to be able to integrate it into what you actually do, and to, like, just live out what you believe in, I think that's really something that people should learn, or some people should, inhibit in their lives, because it's,
Mhm.
especially in this country na, people really need education in terms of practicing religion, or like politics as well. So I mean, it's a really tough aspect of our society. Then it has to be,
Mhm.
worked upon. But where was I going? But ayun, I mean, what can you say about? I mean, this might be a hot take. You can or cannot answer this if you'd like.
Okay.
But like, parang what can you say to those people who are like, oh, parang there are people kasi na I see, or even some celebrities, na parang, oh, let's just don't bash me na lang. It's Sunday. I'm gonna love God anyway. Parang ganun na parang, why do you use your religion as a mask to just like
Yeah.
shun people away when they're trying to make you a better person? Or like, why don't
Yeah.
you just like actually and parang live out what you say you believe in, instead of just like putting it out there as a mask? What can you say? Like, how can
Yeah.
you like approach that in a sense na, okay, this is
Um,
a way to approach it?
I think, if you really truly love God, it will show regardless of whether you try to show it.
Mm-hmm.
I like, the I think one of the things where the compliments, quote unquote compliments, that I really love is that when people meet me, they're like, Janina, there's like, parang there's something different about you, and then I start talking, and they're like, oh, you're Christian, no wonder. And I'm like, why? And it's like, no, I just felt that from you. And I'm like, thank you. Like I wasn't even trying or whatever. But then I feel like it's it's not a exact parang your religion shouldn't be shoes that you put on or take off when you enter and leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that's supposed to be already such an evident part of you that you wouldn't have to kind of tell them, oh wait, I'm going to church first. I've never seen any of those comments. That's very interesting. That's the first time I've heard about that. But yeah, I think that it's not something that you have to fight for, or not fight for, but like use as an excuse or use as a part of your debate on why you shouldn't be bashed or why you're a good person. I feel like if you're a good person, then you're a good person and people
Mm-hmm.
will see that.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then
I mean, at the end of the day, of course, God loves us all. But yun nga, I
yeah.
mean, people should really, I mean, work better towards their relationship, or building that, or keeping it as it is. Parang ganun.
But yeah, I mean, the for me, because it's not the religion that's so important to me. I think the most important thing to me is your relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's whatever you do to be close to God is none of my business. It's really not. Whatever you're, for me, it's just as long as you know that you're spending time with Him and you're honoring Him in whatever you do, then okay, that's great. It's not really, I'm not gonna be like get down to the nitty gritty and get picky with you about if you spend it on Sundays or Saturdays, or you do your devotions at 7 a.m. or 10 p.m. It's like it's none of my business.
Yeah.
It's just it's like I have the cure for cancer, and parang it's I have the cure for your hearts, and I have this love that I have for my savior, that it would just feel so wrong for me not want to share it with everybody. And so it's just that simple, that I just want to share the love of God that I've received. And so however that manifests to you, then that's your own thing, man.
Nasa sayo na yun. Totoo.
Yeah, so yun na yun. It's
But
really none
I
of
mean,
my
I guess
business.
last question in this topic
Yeah.
also. I mean, for people who are trying to find their relationship with God, what can you
Yeah.
encourage them, or what advice would you have to like find your place with Him, or find your relationship with Him?
Go on live with me, Diva with Janina, 3 p.m. Just kidding.
The Janina Vela
People get,
devotional hour.
yeah, or no, people get over mystical about it, where they feel like they have to have like a crazy miraculous encounter with God, where it's like spirits and like woo, and like you hear the voice like hello Cholo, and it's like that. Honestly, I've been a Christian and I've had a relationship with God most of my life, and I've never really had that whole thing. But to me, it's just going back to the basics of reading the first letter that God ever wrote to you, which is the Bible.
The
People
number
say,
one
Janina,
best-selling book in the world.
yeah, right? It's been the number one New York bestseller forever. And so people are always asking, Janina, how do I hear God's voice? And I'm like, well, if he spoke to you, would you know his voice? Like, would you recognize it? Because the thing is, if I close my ears, if I close my eyes and I listen to your voice, I will recognize, oh, that's Cholo, because I've spent time with you, because I've had
Mhm.
meetings with you, because I've been talking to you. But if a stranger comes up to me, I won't be able to pinpoint what he sounds like or who he is by what he sounds like, because I've never heard his voice before. It's not familiar to me, and I wouldn't recognize it because I've never spent time with that person. And so if you want to get to know Christ, if you want to, get to know God, you go to the basics and read the Bible. Then slowly you'll familiarize yourself with how God would speak and how he would command you to do these things, and how he shows his love to you and his grace to you. And that will, slowly, after self-discipline, you'll kind of hear God's voice in all of the little things around you. And so, yeah, it's you have to make an effort to familiarize yourself. It's like how you don't get to know somebody on your first date. You have to keep dating that person before you realize, okay, I want to spend the rest of my life with this person. It's like, or like if let's say even you fall in, it's love at first sight, but still you don't know the person, so you still have to go on those dinner dates, you still have to go on those picnics, you still have to, do those late night FaceTime calls or whatever. I don't know, but you get to know that person, you familiarize yourself with that person, and then that's when your relationship gets stronger. So it's really choosing and being intentional. Okay, I want to get to know you, and I'm gonna do everything that I can to do it.
And then you will get your hello stranger moment in a sense. I mean, not in that sense, but like in a sense that, oh,
Yeah,
okay, you're a new person in my life.
yeah, for
But at the
sure.
same time, I guess just to add a short, from my Jesuit education. I mean, I guess
Go.
it's really that you find him in not just the Bible, but in also other things, the small things
Yeah,
nga, na, you might find him in your random collection that you put your passion into, or
yeah,
a person in your life. So I mean, he's everywhere if you just
for sure.
find him,
Yeah,
and he's just there whether you talk to him or not. So
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
siguro last question na
Yeah.
random question coming from our super deep conversation about
Okay.
religion and politics and all that. I mean,
Went through everything, man.
how was it? Sobrang funny lang. I just wanted to ask, like, how was
Okay.
meeting the Riverdale cast? And I think I never got to ask you
Oh,
that.
I love. That's so funny. It was not as magical as everybody thought it would be. Honestly, I only came into terms with this a couple of weeks ago because obviously, the quarantine is time for overthinking. So I was just thinking about how I was living my life before, and I was alone in LA, and I went to Coachella, and I was like 18 years old, and people were like, "It's a dream come true. It's amazing," and like I was just like, "Cool." We're in Coachella. That's cool. And then I met the Riverdale cast, and everybody, it went viral on so many social
Yeah.
media platforms and magazine, online magazines, and I'm like, I kind of literally just went up to them and just asked for a picture and then talked to Cole for a few minutes, and then after that they forgot who I was. And that memory, I barely even remember it, and so it's they're people,
Mhm.
it's a really interesting realization of they're just normal people pala.
They're
It's
just
like,
like us.
yeah, they're really just like us. Like, we put them on such a high platform. I'm not saying that they're any less than that. I'm just
Uh-huh.
saying, like, we always think of them like they're glowing or they have sparkles, but they're just, you know 20-year-olds who just wanted to be at Coachella, and so
Yeah.
it's a very interesting encounter, but it was not as magical as everybody thought it was.
And parang yun nga, I mean, you also got to meet like Paul Rudd, for example. I mean, that's great. Yun
Oh
nga,
yeah,
but
no, I love Paul Rudd. Oh my gosh, sabay ganon, and no, they're just regular people, and I'm like, no, oh my gosh, Paul Rudd was I loved him. I love him so much. Like, he was my favorite person that I'd ever interviewed in my entire life. And so that's coming from interviewing even Samuel L. Jackson, right?
uh-huh.
And so and you know, and Brie Larson, and so I interviewed him, and I walked in, and he was like standing there. He's so cute. He was standing there, and his hands were behind his back, and he was like, "Hello," and then he like shakes my hand, and then he was so warm, and he was just so amazing, and I love him. He's great. Honestly, he's so cute.
Is there anyone else you want to like bucket list interview
Oh,
point
anybody?
after everyone you've met at this point?
Sandra Bullock.
Oh,
Oh
good choice.
my gosh. She's my favorite actress in the entire world. Yes, entire world.
When
Like
you meet
Miss
her, you should have like
Congeniality.
a blindfold and say, "Girl, girl."
Oh yeah, dude, boy, girl. Oh my gosh, I love her. Like yeah, Bird Box and you know Miss Congeniality. I
Yeah.
love 2 Weeks Notice, and like my favorite movie while you were sleeping is you know her, and obviously The Proposal, and we were just watching Speed last night, and so I'm like a huge, crazy fan of Sandra Bullock, and so meeting her would just, I think I would cry, honestly.
And I hope you do get that experience, and I'm gonna watch out for
I
that.
hope if we're
If it
all
does,
still alive after this pandemic. Joke.
we will be. Pero I
We
mean,
will.
coming off everything we've talked about in this past hour,
Yeah.
what's next? What can people expect from you? What do you wanna pursue next?
What's
Writing
next?
stories or um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I actually, well, this is super secret, but I wanted to start a new channel.
Ooh.
I wanted to do it because I wanted it to be kind of like a talk show, because I knew that there were so many good stories and so many good messages to be shared, and I think I was just kind of a lot like super tired of my own voice, and I was like, I want other people to be able to have a platform to inspire and to empower others, and not just me,
Yeah.
because you know then again I don't want to be special. I just want to be, this is the normal where you're doing everything that you can to empower and inspire other people. And so I was gonna start, you know, kind of bouncing off from what my Lola Helen used to do. She would, you know, tell people stories and give inspiration after, and give advice. And I kind of wanted to do that too. And so she had a show called Lovingly Yours, Helen Vela, and so I wanted to be like yours truly, Janina Vela, or something like that. And so we had already renovated my studio upstairs for it, and then ECQ happened, and so I can't really invite anybody here to do it, and I don't really have a camera crew at home. But you know, hopefully when at least GCQ we could hopefully do it. Yeah, so that would be fun to see through. I'm also going to hopefully, you know, it's really hard to ask what's next
Uh-huh.
because I don't know
You never
what will
know.
happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go to university this year, so I was able to get into a pretty good university, and so I would be studying political science, which is fun. So yeah, I hope I'll be able to do that this year, and also a Tagalog song
Yes,
on
I think I've
my,
heard a sample of that somewhere in my
yeah, yeah,
so yeah, I'm
it's
sure marami pang songs na after that.
oh
Can you
yeah.
give a short like backgrounder on that for people who are interested in finding
And
out?
that's, I'm not sure what song you heard, but the one that I sent recently, um I so I was revisiting old like memories and old feelings with my quote unquote totga. So this guy that I liked for about 7 years. Yeah, 7 years. Can you believe that?
Wow.
This guy I liked for a long time. And you know that kind of pabebe push and pull phase of like paasa ka lang ba, or totoo ba to, or are you gonna make a move or anything? And so navigating through that, so this song was, it's called Subok Pa or Suko Na. So it's more of like, are we gonna try this, or do I just give up on us completely because nothing is happening, because we're both torpen, because it's just maybe our timing doesn't line up. And so yeah, it's another fun song. All of it. I think this EP will be a lot of fun songs. So yeah, that's gonna be fun.
That's
I said
something to look
consolidated.
forward to. Parang chasing pavements Janina style bang expect
Chasing
ma-expect.
pavements, but like more, not as sad. It's more of it's just really like kind of pabebe puppy love type
That's cute.
song.
That's cute. I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear a demo when it comes up.
Thank you, thank you.
So, I mean, before we end our show, of course, we have our segment called the Pop Stop, where our special guests recommend their favorite pop culture things.
Oh
So, any book
my.
or movie, TV show you like forever, or you just recently watched and want to recommend?
What do I like? Oh my gosh, super random. I have been enjoying the Hunger Games book series.
Oh, it's really
Which
good.
is so huh?
Is it your first time reading it? Was it your first time?
No, no, no. I read it when I was like 10. And then I revisited it a few weeks ago, and it's really good. Like, I'm surprised because a lot, like, it's very timely, actually, low key for what's going on now. And even just to slowly transition into opening your eyes politically, if you read it in that lens of,
Mm-hmm.
wow, this is like, in terms of governance and politics, it's very interesting. And in social economic levels, it's a crazy good book, or at least Hunger Games and Catching Fire. Mockingjay, I'm still working on it. It's kind of slow to me, but we're working on that book. But Hunger Games, what else do I like? Hello Stranger by Janina Vela,
Of
pop culture.
course.
Yeah, Hello Stranger by Janina Vela. What else? I've been binge watching The Vampire Diary. So we go from like super pop cult. We go from super politics and serious, and then we're like, yeah, my guilty pleasure is The Vampire
Hey, I
Diaries.
have a
So
doppelganger who looks exactly like me and wants to kill
yeah,
me because she's still in love with the two brothers who she used to date.
yeah, it's kind of really wild. But honestly, if you're just somebody who just wants like a guilty pleasure with two really good looking guys and a pretty wild but really romantic love story, then The Vampire Diaries
Pretty good.
is a
It's not a trash show, for sure.
it's not,
I
yeah,
watched it
it's
myself.
oh really? Okay,
I
okay,
mean,
good,
way
good,
back
good.
in high school pa na it was the popular
Yeah.
show. Sabay mga
Yeah.
Pretty Little Liars, Glee,
Oh my
Vampire.
gosh, I watched them all. Gossip Girl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it kind of reminds me of those days, but I actually got really, really invested. So it's a fun no-brainer, but also pretty intense show. And so if you wanted to watch that, what else? Now I'm looking at my books. I'm wondering what book can I recommend to you guys. Um, I yeah, I think that's kind of it, really. I'm looking at all my books and I'm like shy to mention what they
And
are.
speaking of Hunger
I'm looking.
Games, there's
Yeah,
an upcoming book this year,
a
the
song of
fourth book, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So,
Ballad of Songbirds. Yeah, the story
interesting.
of President Snow.
Paano kaya
That
yun?
yeah, I think the at least the online book is coming out on May 16th or
Uh-huh.
something like that. And then they're also working on a movie for it. And so that's interesting because I actually, when I was reading the books again, I was thinking like, wow, what made President Snow so ruthless and so addicted to the power that he would
Yeah.
make actions and decisions this way. And so sakto they announced it and I'm like, whoa, cool. So
How
yeah, I'm
relevant
excited.
really, 'di ba?
Yeah,
Parang
it's so relevant. It's so relevant, and I won't explain why, but
we know why. And
but you know.
aside from President Snowden, I think it would be nice to have like a spin-off book for President Coin because she's another
Oh yeah.
parang
Oh, you know
personality.
who I want though? The lady who took over, Paler.
Uh-huh.
So she was the general from District 8 who after Katniss, spoiler alert, killed Coin. She was the one who took over, and so she was um a leader who had both compassion and arms at the same time. And so I wanna kind of get to know her a little bit more. So yeah, Suzanne Collins, if you're listening to this, please go to the book for Paler.
I just hope it's not like some sort of JK Rowling, the JK Rowling route na everything's just
Yeah,
so
we're just
confusing na and
yeah. I hope not. We're hoping for the best.
so we'll watch out, quote unquote, because it's actually a book and not
We'll read out
a
for it.
movie. Yeah, we'll read out for it. And for me naman, I guess I just want to recommend also my recommendations for this week.
Oh yeah, go.
Mentioned these on the show yet. First is Emma, the 2020 adaptation of the book Emma by Jane Austen. It's really nice. Go
Really?
watch it. I
Okay.
think it's something you like, Janina. And
Okay, I'll look
it's
into it.
really quirky, and kasi 'di ba Emma is the basis of Clueless, and this is like going back to its roots, but you still recognize, if you're a fan of Clueless, you'll still recognize the story beats, and it's really made well in a sense na it's kind of like Wes Andersonified in a sense na
Oh
the
wow,
colors are
really?
pastel and the symmetry also. So
Yeah.
it's really good, and I also watched Before Sunrise for the first time. It's really poignant as
Is
well.
that the trilogy?
Yeah, I just watched the first one so far.
Okay.
So
Yeah. That's on Netflix, right?
yes, correct. Hello, Netflix.
Sponsor.
So,
One
I mean,
day.
that's pretty much it for the whole show. Thank you so much for being here. I mean, I was really nervous
Of
because I
course.
was telling you before we recorded na parang, oh, you're a person who's so used to interviewing people that I'm like scared of like interviewing you.
No, it's okay. I'm scared of interviewing people also, so I felt really comfortable actually. This is one of my favorite interviews actually so far. And I've done a lot this whole
Wow, thank
ECQ.
you. I mean,
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one.
that's the goal naman, I guess. It's not really to have a great interview, but really to flesh people's stories out more. Na
Yeah.
as you mentioned earlier, we only see 7 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes on YouTube or
Now
where.
you get an hour. What's
Now
up?
you have an hour of Janina just being vocal about everything in her life.
But
It's
every single
amazing.
thing.
Of course, for them to follow you to see more of your vocalizationisms, sabi nga ni Mimi, where can they follow you and see all your
Yeah.
work?
So it's Janina Vela everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Again, I go live every 3 p.m. on Facebook and Instagram. I'm coming up with a new video on YouTube, so I'm gonna start posting a lot more. So yeah, Janina Vela on YouTube, and I'm very active on all of it, honestly. And I'm sure you are too. So I hope to see you there, or tweet you there, or Instagram you there, or just
Or TikTok you there?
yeah. Or TikTok. Oh my gosh, TikTok. Follow me on TikTok. I work really hard on my TikTok. So
Great,
you guys should follow
great
me.
content. And of course, where can they
Thank you.
listen to your latest single called Hello
Of
Stranger?
course. Hello Stranger, you may listen to that on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, and these are basically all digital platforms. Hello Stranger, it's out now. It's my song and I really love it. I think it's my favorite release so far. So you guys should listen to it.
And listen to her debut EP as well. It's out there. It's called Love You the Same. Super hugot. Kung gusto nyo maghugot-hugot ngayong
I know
quarantine.
you can hugot, but then you can like dance a little. So
Eh.
yeah, exactly.
You have to listen to the real Janina and not me.
Yeah. No, you gave it justice.
Thank you. But again, thank you so much, Janina. This was great.
Thank you so
I really
much.
enjoyed this conversation. And of course, to everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Popcorn with Cholo. And of course, our other episodes, especially our first month-long special featuring Christian Bautista, is still streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you stream your podcasts. Please continue following us on all social media platforms. That's at Popcorn with Cholo, at Popcorn W Cholo on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and let us know who else you'd like us to have a conversation with, and we'll try to make it happen. So thank you again, Janina. It was great. I'm looking forward to talking to you more like this in the future.
Sure, yes, of course, I would love that.
So thanks everyone, and bye.
This is your stop for all things pop. Catch our all-around pop culture geek, Cholo Sediaren, as he throws in some dose of what's poppin' and what's hot in the pop culture scene here on Popcorn. Munch in with us every Thursdays from 4 to 6, only here on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.